minute for me. A lot of crazy stuff's been going on in my life. Of course, my love of ribbon mics has taken a toll when I'm trying to launch my own microphone. For the last 3 weeks, I've been underwater in a lot of different ways, studio sessions, work, trying to get everything done, and still trying to meet the need of doing quality work. So I'm here again. If you don't know what I do, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer. I love mixing, I love doing everything recording wise, but I've gotten into doing ribbon mics. So it's been a minute since I've even done this, and it's been a while. But I wanted to go live with just a microphone. I'm trying to fill out my last deeds of mics on my to do list. This is one of them that was a little bit difficult to work on, and as you can tell, it looks very interesting. But technically, it is a stereo microphone. And the reason I stopped at this stage to show you, I wanted to give you an example of, when people always send a mic to me and they're like, hey, what is the difference between like a newer, this is obviously a Chinese mic, this company is HTW. Um, I'm assuming these parts come from China because they look identical to what usually comes in from China, and even the parts, the plates, everything looks the same. Um, the machining obviously looks like a Royer. This goes on top of that up there, but to access and work on these mics was a little bit of a, honestly, a little bit of a bitch. Um, I had to use a jewelry hammer to kind of, these are slats right here that the mic is in. So I had to use a jewelry hammer to kind of slightly hammer those to the slats and to make room. It's a weird design, but to make room so I can even work on the mic, I had to dismantle it here to bend it, and then that cable could give me a little bit of slack. That would give me enough slack to move that out. So if you're noticing, these are ribbons from a ribbon mic. This one I've just done, so you can tell the way it looks, but the reason I wanted to do this video right now at the stage is that you can see the factory one right here. So that's the factory ribbon. And look, I don't know if you can tell the difference, but for me, those gaps in that ribbon are almost like a ½ inch. And if you can notice mine right here, how tight they are, that's way better. Marcus, my brother, hello. Um, yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in, man. So that's one of the biggest difference. So this is a stock Chinese ribbon that came out of the factory, and then this is a ribbon right here. Hello everyone. So that is kind of the difference. You can tell that's the ribbon I just did, and this is the ribbon from the factory. Now, you don't have to be an expert to know that there is something really different from the one I just did to the one that came out of the factory. It looks like, I don't want to say the quality of the ribbon, that looks like, ribbon probably 1.8, but the corrugation is just kind of like getting it done. It's okay. But when you do it like this, the mic sounds like, you know, like a Royer. If you had a Royer ribbon, it would look just like that. So I'm at the stage now. I'm going to work on the mic, and I'm going to change out that other ribbon. I'm going to finish up this side right now for you all. Hey, Jason. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I know it's been a minute. Um, Times are tough, man. I can only say in the last month I have been, I mean, you talk about everything in your life just coming down where it's not bad, like nothing bad has happened, but the economy, how things are, trying to get things done, and having a lot of different pressures on all different places in my life just kind of come down to one moment. So I'm trying to get back to doing stuff that's fun like this. I've got a few more things on my list to get a few orders out, and I'll be up to speed. But this is one I just wanted to show because it was interesting, and it's one of the few times, like I said, I can show you a before, and that's the factory ribbon, and then this is the one I just did, which to me looks almost as pretty as my eyes. You know what I'm saying? um, if you really want to support the channel, man, I'm probably more have asked everyone, definitely subscribe. Also, you can be a member, and I know I always talk about my microphone I just finished. It's actually getting, I think within the next day, I'm going to get the prototype sent out. One going to Hawaii, one going to Nashville, and one I'm going to keep here. I'm going to do everything I can to kind of, on my own microphone, just make sure that it's good to go. And then I'm going to make 100. And when I get the patent cleared, or at least the point where I can share it, if you become a member here, I'll do a whole breakdown of my microphone for you. It's going to be super fucking cool. I also have two great things that I've talked about that I haven't yet gotten done. So if you can become a member, which means I'm sure there's like a small fee that you would do and you become a membership, it does help me out. Also, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, you can hit the under the icon of, I think, the description. There's a thank you. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Right now, I'm back to the usual. Got my Pellegrino. It's not spiked by cherry soda. Actually, I'm gonna spike it right now. Hold on a second. I gotta be kicking ass today. I gotta get a spike in here. Hold on. All right. That is dynamite. Sorry, I realized I was parched starting this. So those of you that don't know what I'm doing here, I have a tendency to drink a lot of Pellegrino, but when I drink about halfway through the bottle, I spike it with some black cherry soda, pure sugar cane. I can only tell you, it's to die for, and it's so fucking good. So anyways, trying to get pumped up here. All right. And those that know, they know that I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'm not preaching that shit. I've drank enough tequila to probably kill you. But as of right now, I like to wake up every day feeling good. So here's the microphone. And that was my little spike of some. Now my Pellegrino is black cherry flavored. Okay, so, and before I destroy this other one and put a new one in it, that's a great example. That's the Chinese, what came in stock. And then this one right here is the one I just did, which, I think it's pretty obvious what you're getting. And you're getting a great ribbon. All right, so, hold on a second here. Really difficult mic to get sorted out, but I did. It was really weird to take it apart and get it in a way that I could work on it. So what I'm going to do now is, since I'm finishing this up, what's up, everyone? Hey, I'm great to see all you guys here. I've been, like I mentioned, not under the weather, not sick. Life has come crushing down on me. My car engine went out. My radiator blew up. Everything you can imagine on not a health way, but on your car, your life, your studio, everything has been crazy. But I've finished up some really cool records. I have some really cool stuff coming up. And to the most part, I'm just been trying to survive here, trying to get everything done, trying to be proactive. And the bottom line is I got to do good work. When it comes to ribbon mics, every time I do one of these, man, oh, sorry. Hey, Blaze Shaw. This is a ribbon microphone, and I'm putting a ribbon in it, and I'm showing you the example. And the reason I tuned in now was I have a great example. This is the ribbon that comes out of the factory, which is what makes the microphone work. And then this is one I just replaced, which is in the bottom. So you can kind of see that looks pretty nice. And then you look at the one out of the factory. It's almost like a ½ inch apart. And the reason is that these slats have a lot to do with the sound. So looks kind of like a weird snake, and that's what it is. It all goes back in here and makes a pretty tall mic. But I'm going to be changing that other ribbon. So let me, I have to put the screens back on this one, because even though I've just done this one, I don't want to ruin it that I've done it. So I have to symbolically protect it. So let me see. see here. Hold on. I gotta cut these little pieces of tape. These. I mean, to the most part, to my friends and my people that are here, crazy, crazy times, but you know, it is what it is. I have a massively big order that I've got to put it in the mail of over about 15 microphones. And the hardest thing with that order, in all ways, is that 2 of the microphones, there's no really, not knowledge, but there's a way you can make these microphones sound better, and I know there is. So before I was able to send them off, even of this morning, I still have to go buy a few more things for the mics to make sure they sound good. And I've got to get that going on together. I got to get that going on for my buddy. And I just want to make sure, because I rarely get these microphones, that if I'm going to send them out and I'm going to work on them, they just got to be right. And so I've done everything I can, I think, to make them sound better. A little bit shocked, and I'll tell you about it later when maybe before I send them off, I'll do a video on these microphones of what is the big deal and what's been taking so long on 2 of them. And I think you'll be stoked on that. That's not a mystery. That'll be something I'll do maybe this coming week. So then, okay, so that screen technically is only there to protect things from flying into the ribbon because it's magnetized. And then also if, oh, that's not good. Hold on a second. These screens have just popped out right there. Hold on. Hold it now. And so it are made to not be the best for sonicness, but once you put a new ribbon in it, it's really good. So anyways, those screens are strictly there to just, hold on a second, I do not like the way this, they didn't make these screens long enough. That'll be fine. Sorry, it's kind of stuck to the side because of the magnets. Yeah, these mics were definitely just made to get it done as far as the consumer model stuff. But the thing is, though, these are still made the way the $1,500 mics are. The really only difference is the magnets. So I cleaned that up because that glue that's on the back of that will sometimes not make the little protection screen that I'm putting on at work. And this is just a ribbon mic. Nothing that sexy or crazy or cool. It's microphones that producers now who don't have a lot of money sometimes can't afford to spend $3,000 for a pair. Or I mean, a Royer stereo mic just like this, I'm assuming it would be, you know, at least $2,200 or more. If it's phantom powered or not, this magnet is like sticking to that. Hold on. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm doing this. I actually just did a big no-no with this. I think I did on the other side too. These wings come out in the sides of the mic, and they go through that slat right there. And I'm covering these like the mics that usually don't sit in those. And I just realized that's a no-no. That's why they have that really fine line there that these have to fit in. And I think that is part of the dilemma of covering these with a screen, that you only have a small little piece of tape that's got to hold that together. So you guys are watching me, you know, as we go. And like I said, I've worked on plenty of mics that look just like this in theory. I mean, I probably have done dozens of stereo mics, and they just seem to all be made a little bit different as far as this. And this one was really challenging, and I just realized because the transducer has been grooved out, you can see these grooves here, and that's so it can go through this slit, this little slit in the metal. Hold on a second. What's a good 4038 alternative? Needs to be. You know what, man? I'll be honest with you, man. Those mics that I make, those MXL R144s that I always rave about, that there's plenty of videos here about them. To me, those are the most craziest cool mics that sound like ribbon mics. I know it sounds weird to say that, but a lot of the new microphones that are on the market that are ribbons, they sound like nice dynamic mics. They're dark, they got a little bit of ribbon, but the tensions are too tight or something, and they just don't sound as fluffy. Also, oh, actually, I got something for you. Hold on. Speaking of the devil, this is a mic that I have for sale right now. It's a Lollipop mic I just did. I had 4 of them. This is the last one. Super fucking cool. Anyways, I've already done this one, and if you want to talk about something like a Kohl's, this one has a big open head basket like a Kohl's. Nice fucking good ribbon in there, and it's super good. This one I'm selling myself. You can contact me, and in the United States, if you're here in the United States, it's $475, and I'll include the shipping to you and the insurance. So here's the microphone outside of the box. OGMC is my mic company. This one's good to go with a wooden box. So fucking cool. So if you're talking about a mic that's like a really good single overhead, saxophone, guitars, fucking right in front of the drum set, you know those crotch mics that they put over the kick drum facing the snare? This is one of those mics for sure. And as you can tell in that ribbon being beautiful, it's the same thing inside here. Really fucking good. So if you want a mic that's comparable, I have one. It's $475, shipping US. If you're outside the US, let me know. It's usually about $80 to send it somewhere else extra. And one thing about that mic that's important to know, that even if you set, even that mic is identical to a Cascade except for the head basket. Cascades still cost a lot. It's technically still a Chinese mic. That's the inside of a Cascade mic. Just has a big old, head basket. But the head basket matters. That's the sound of why ribbons sound good. This is within the small little closure. I'm sure there's some sound that resonates from being in this small enclosure as opposed to having a big lollipop opening where all the sound comes around the ribbon. Has a lot to do with the sound. Like the reason people can't make 67 copies is because the head basket's totally patented. They have like 3 sheets of the grill. It's totally done, and that has a lot to do with the sound. When you look at the difference of Neumann U87s, 67s, M49s, 47s, the head baskets have so much to do with the sound. So anyways, that's a little bit of a rant. If you're interested in that mic, let me know. I had 4 of them. That's the last one I have. Definitely hit me back if that's the deal. That's a beautiful mic. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, man. And I'll tell you what, if at Velocity Recording Studio, if that was something you really wanted, I'll take 25 off the top, and let's just say 450 if it's you, only you, if you inquire, because I know you. Hit me up, and I'll do it for 450, and I'll cover the shipping, and I'll cover everything to get it to you. Insurance as well. And the coolest thing about these mics that I do for you, if you get one of my mics and you blow it, even when you open it up out of the box and go to use it and you accidentally phantom power it, just send it back to me and just cover me $30 for the aluminum foil because it's about $100 a sheet. and then cover the shipping back to you. So you can, even after a year of putting it in front of a cabinet, you're like, you know what, I want to take it into Manny and have him redo it. Send it to me. It's $30 for the re-ribbon, and you cover the shipping, and I'll put a new ribbon in it. And that's for all the mics that I do. So anyways, man, I hope that's cool. And dude, no pressure if you can. I know it's a tough time for everyone, so don't feel any obligation. But I do have that one. That's the last of 4. I don't know when I'll get more of those, but I know definitely that one sounds amazing. And also, it's phantom powered. It's active. So hold on a second. Wait, let me make sure. Yeah, that is an active microphone. So, whoo, yeah, man, hit me back. Let me know. All right, so so what I realized about this one is, and this is new too, this screen barely covers the top of the mic. And as you can tell, there's a little bit of a slat there. This has to go through that. So when I tape this down, the tape can't go anywhere in this area, or when I slide the microphone in, the tape's gonna get fucked up, and then I'm gonna have to redo it. So that being said, I need to do thinner schnizzles here. I think I overdid it. I was thinking about these transducers, even though it is identical to the Chinese ones, that little detail made my cutting of these different. But beyond that, things are going well. I'm super pumped on all the good things that are coming up. I know we're going out of this year, and my goal is to have my microphone finished so I can go to NAMM this year and have it there. I mean, I may be just physically showing up and showing people, you know. See, oh, good question from creator. First, I'm starting room mics. Should be store standing up? Well, you know, that is depending on the ribbon microphones. Microphones like this that are smaller, you can have them standing up, and I do think that's better because the ribbon's long. But like for buyers and smaller ribbon microphones, it's not that big of a deal. When you get into big microphones like 44s and 77s, those are RCAs. And I mean, maybe these ones, because these are almost an 1.5 inch long. Stager microphones, anything that has a ribbon that's about 2 inches, those are the ones that storing them standing up like this is way better than like this, because even though this is laying down, after time the gravity will make the ribbon sag. Obviously, it's being held there by tension. But when you're using it all the time and it's going back and forth, it could slack and then start to sag. Most Royers, people don't know about them. They think they're pretty much invincible. Inside, they're sagging. They've just been used too much, and it's just aluminum foil. So, yeah, I would stand them up if you can, or hang them, or have all of them. The only ones that don't matter are like 500s by Royers, and 160s and 130s and 230s, all the ribbons by, not Royer, Bayer. You don't need to do that. I think the ribbons are too small. All right, so let me get this here. See if I cut these right. I think once it got a little damaged somehow, so I'll use this. Still good. So no, the greenie isn't too good. That's enough. Alrighty. Alright, so if you're just joining in, this is a ribbon mic. And like I said, if you guys want to help me out, not only subscribe, but you can become a member, which I'll have some exclusive videos of a lot of cool shit coming up. Promise. And if you want, you can buy me a coffee or water. There's a little icon that says thanks under, I think, the description. Okay, let me do this. I think I'm going to do this the other way around. Let me start it here. Act like I'm bumping you on purpose. See if I can get this going. That's not good. That doesn't look good. Hold on. See what I'm trying to do? I just have to get this on the outskirts of the. I have to lock it in here because this is. Original one look just like that. I have to keep. Getting this to be inside that area. Tape on that shiny part, not. There it is. Grip there. Strange design, but you got to follow the rules. So what happens is that the reason I have to keep that open is that's got to slide into that slat right there. And I didn't realize it when I took it apart. I was just being very generous with the tape. It's not going to work on this mic. Let's see here. Oh, shit. You're going to have to fix this. I am failing in front of you all right now. Ribbon. I'm going to cut this a hair thinner. The glue or the tape that they use when these came are funky because they don't last that long. And when I took this one apart, the tape was already deteriorating. So thinner, so it can cover what I need and give me a little bit of room for the tape. That'll do. And again. To make this work. Hey, fucking shit. Deal with this other microphone. I think that is just too thick, obviously. Razor blade time. Now you guys just see me do this in real time, like, holy fuck. Come on. That didn't look good either. We're gonna rip this one. Oh, and I used the wrong side, son of a bitch. Alright. Let me see if this one's better. Let's see, start here. There. Make sure it's good. I'm into that. That one did it. Now let's get the other side. Same. Yeah, you know, I gotta cut that other screen. Hold on. less than 1/4 of an inch off that. Cutting the screen down so it can fit. I'm gonna do the other side now that I know what I'm dealing with. Usually I don't have that issue, but that just happens to be what's going on with this mic. You can see that's the one from the factory, so I'm just trying to match what they did. Same tape, same style, same schnizzle manizzle. This is the good side of the razor blade. Board that I'm using is a self-healing board. It's some kind of black magic. You cut it, and then it heals up the cut. But where I make these cuts all the time, I do see it starting to wear. So maybe every, I don't know, 4 months or 5 months, I'll get another one. But for the most part, it's pretty cool. Okay, so let me get this screen. Try to line it up decent. Motherfucker. Because I have to protect it while I'm working on that other mic. I mean the other, yeah, well technically the other ribbon. So really quick before I get off that subject, once again, here's the one that I just finished. And that is the one from the factory. I'm about to replace, and this is the one I just did. So a little bit before and after there. Okay, now I think back in, make sure I'm correct with that. Okay. The magnet is sticking to this. Hold on. Here's the crucial point. Okay. All right, that's back in there. That's why it was all the hoopla about the tape. Now, should be able to put this. Well, you know what? I gotta do the ribbon in this one, so let me work on this one before I fully a little bit of wiggle room here. Okay, so this is the one we're gonna work on now. Holy moly. Same thing. Just fuck it. Alright. That's good enough to work on. I made a little bracket here. Hey, brother. This is a ribbon mic. This is a HDW, obviously Chinese mic. If you look in the video after it's posted, you can see it before and after. But right now I'm working on the bottom part of the ribbon, which, let's see, have you ever tried warm burnt on ribbon mic? No, I haven't. I don't know about that company. But if it's a boutique company that's made here in the United States or made in a country that's not China, I would be interested. But if it's a, one of those like MXL that just gets their mics from China, I think they're kind of all the same. The only microphone that really was different than all the mics of the world is actually the Shure microphone that people see now. It's not going to work out like that. The Shure microphones that are red, I don't know the model number for them, but those microphones, are made out of another material. Oh, warm audio. Oh, sorry. Oh, the ones that look like this. You know what? I don't know actually where those are made, actually. I'm assuming probably China. But they're a copy of this one. They actually are really, I don't know if that's Think or not, but they're making the original mic that Royer got their mic from. And this whole design that you see me sliding these in, if you look at the Royer mic, I'm pretty positive, without knowing too much about it, this is probably inside it, which is that. So it's, I've seen pictures of the ribbons. They look better than most. So I'm not sure. I have no idea what the quality control is for Royer ribbons, but I haven't heard anything bad about it. If it's the one that looks like this, then I'll be like, I think that's cool. But hold on. Hold on a second here. Let me flip this around. But I haven't heard anything about that. I did a video for Warm Audio, if you want to look at my videos a while back, where I did a Van Halen cover. One of my favorite songs off the Fair Warning that no one has actually covered the whole song. It's called One Foot Out the Door. And the deal with that song was I wanted to do something where people, at the time when I'd done that video, people were kind of talking shit about Warm. And I just said, well, why get mad at that? They're making affordable mics for people like me and you to use. Why don't we see what it would sound like if we record a Van Halen song? And man, it came out so fucking sick using all Warm Audio mics. I also did their video for when they came out with the 19s. On my videos here, you'll see it. I had all Warm 19s. I did a record with my buddy, and it came out awesome. So just looking at this real quick. So yeah, I don't, hold on, let me see what's going on with this. Okay. So like I said, I just did a warm audio thing, and it came out fucking awesome. Hold on, let me make sure this is right. All right, that's cool. But yeah, no complaints on my end. I love the warm audio mics that they've done, but I just don't have any information about those other microphones, about that particular one that looks like a Royer. I mean, in all real, and see, this is the one that's inside here. This is terrible looking, but I don't think the Royers look like that. I've seen pictures and they look really good, and I imagine them being really sticklers about it. You know, I think if they're going to make one, they'd want to make one. The only thing I will say is that Royer, the way I make my ribbons is the way Royer makes the ribbons. I don't use paper when I corrugate them, so it's really fucking compressed into the gears. And I don't know if they do that, or if they just install a normal Joe ribbon. But Royer ribbons are special because they're cut different. And all the ribbons that I do are cut like Royers. But that's just me, but I don't know what they're doing on their end. Hold on a second. This is bothering me the way the mic is wiggling around. It's really difficult to work on it. Hold on. Guys, hold on. Yeah. I will say, the only thing about the design of the big mic, the most expensive AEA mics, they have massive neodymium magnets in them. The lower model has 2, and the more expensive model has 4. And in the warm audio, their version of the 44, it looks beautiful, but they only have 1 magnet. And that's why they always say, like, oh yeah, but you gotta buy our, like, SoundCloud or whatever that is, that they have that boost the audio. Well, you kind of have to do that because the mics won't be loud enough because they only have 1 magnet. And the RCAs had massive magnets inside, and you can't really get around that. So I'm not sure, with all the things they made all the mic look crazy, I don't know how much it would have been if they just added 1 more fucking magnet. Then it would have been 2, and then that would have been more competitive with the lowest RCA 44 that AEA makes. So they can't do that. And if you buy the upgrade with that cloud that you have to do to make it louder, that's a great thing. But if you compare that to a 44, those 44s that AA makes are stealthy, and they have 2 massive neodymium magnets, and the Warm only has 1. And I don't know why cutting that corner, if you're going to make a mic so beautiful, why didn't you just add the other magnet? So I don't know. I don't work for them. I don't have anything to do with Warm. But I will say that was an interesting thing about why didn't they just do 1 more magnet? And if you can find pictures of it somewhere online, I remember I did when they first did the mic, they had opened it up to show the inside, which is beautiful. But if you really know what you're looking for, I didn't see what I wanted to see, was either see 2 or 4 big magnets, and there was only 1. So that was a little bit of a bummer. You know what I'm trying, man? All right. That ribbon you're seeing there is a typical Chinese ribbon. It's on a scale of 1 to 10, 3. But it got the job done. But we are now retiring it, putting it to pasture, putting it to the trash, because we're going to put a better one inside, and this mic's going to sound way cool. Thanks for that question, Chris. That's actually a valid question that I was curious myself when that mic came out. I was like, how in the fuck are they going to do this? They're going to really fuck up, you know, the RCA crew of what that mic is. Oh shit, what's that mic's about? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh fuck, man. They could, man, if they would have added one more magnet and done a little bit of a tweak to the design, but maybe that's something to do with copyrights. Maybe when they redid that magnet, maybe AEA has a copyright on the way that inside looks. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know why they would go through the time, make it look so beautiful, and they just wouldn't put 2 or 4 magnets inside. But knowing them, and the thing is, though, is like you get that mic cheap, but then you got to buy their cloud lifter box, which is going to make it louder, which is redundant. It's like, why didn't you just put 2 big magnets inside, and then people wouldn't be tripping balls? Well, no one's tripping balls because no one knows that, except I'm telling you that. So that's the ribbon inside. It looks like a good ribbon. It looks foil. It's probably a 1.8, but see, that's the thing. This is what makes the sound of the mic. And to tell you how fragile it is, just no pressure at all. I can't even feel it in my fingers. But that is just turned into, let's get these, add them to the pile. Hold on. I didn't forget you. That's the ribbon mic right there. All that foil you saw just turned into those little specks. That's not black magic. That's foil. The same kind of foil that you cook with is just too thick. Like if you use that foil that you cook with in a ribbon mic, it would be probably the most terrible sound ever. It doesn't move in the wind. It's too fucking thick. This is probably 1.8 microns, and I'm using 2.5 microns. Coals are 0.6 microns, and that's super thin. And so aluminum foil was probably like 5 or 9. It's like massively unusable. There was a famous ribbon guy and when I started, I'm not even lying, I sent my buyer 160 to him because he was the best in the country. And I wanted it. He told me he was going to put, he was lucky enough to have old stock ribbons in it. I mean, he had old stock buyer 160 ribbons because those are incredibly hard to make. And I told him put the old stock ribbons in it, and he says he was. So I got the mic back, and it sounded terrible. And I was like, what the fuck? And I opened it up. Oh my God. I can't go into the details of what he did on the inside, but it was like fucking retarded. You know those sand creatures from Star Wars? Those sand people, their clothes? It looked like he had put some kind of dirty sock cloth on the top of it. And when I actually got the ribbons out, I'm not even lying, it was like cupcake foil. I was like, oh my fucking God, this guy's charging people $350 and using cupcake foil inside. And I think that was his way of, oh, it's durable. Well, how about fuck you? It sounds fucking terrible. I never talked to that dude again, and it's weird he never wrote me. And I don't know if that was him being jealous because I used to do Buyer 160s and I made my own ribbons that moved like a piston. But I wanted some real ones because this was a 1960s 160 and I wanted one like Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix. But it was going to be my A alpha male mic, and I can compare my ribbons or other mics to this mic with the original ribbons inside it because it was blown when I bought it. The guy ruined it, but it was a lesson learned. I opened it up, and some people are just fucking dicks, and that guy was a dick. I don't know if he thought that was a joke. He'd put like sock material inside and then put stupid fucking cupcake foil ribbons. And I remember I spoke to my other friend who's an expert. He couldn't believe it. It was so fucking stupid. Jackson, I'm not making, but I'm re-ribboning a ribbon mic, which is kind of the same technology that Frank Sinatra, the movie The Wizard of Oz, Jack White from the White Stripes, he uses ribbon mics. It's the same kind of thing that he uses, and I'm basically putting a new ribbon in it, if that makes sense. Not that exciting. Like I said, there's some Pakistani guys that his axle broke in his car, and he's gonna weld it with socks and sandals, and him and his buddy with some chains are gonna weld it up, and then they're gonna make a part out of melting metal. And there's way more exciting things to watch than this. But I appreciate you guys that are checking it out. I need a drink. I'm parched. Pellegrino, hold on. Sorry, it's so gross to be standing here. guys for sending some love. Jack sent a 100. I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming that is like 100% cool. What I do need is, I think, a little bit more alcohol. Not to drink, but in this cap. Thank you, Jack. Thank you for sending me 100 there. Appreciate it. If you want to help me out, definitely subscribe. If you want to become a member, I think it's a small fee monthly, and it's going to give you exclusive videos that I'm going to do. And I do have some really cool shit going on. At the end of the year, I can proudly say I've got some shit going on. That's going to be cool. So I'm cleaning this area because even though I just did the mic, it was slightly dusty inside, the way my wife says it. She's like, that's dusty. And I'm like, what? It's so funny. She's Filipino. And she'll say something like dusty. And I'm like, dusty? And she goes, dusty. She says it totally better than I could say it. It's just cute. It's just cute. You know what I'm saying, Mary? All right. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate your sharing of the love doing a mic. So, okay, now that I got that, the mic that I did in there was 4.83 millimeters, almost 5 millimeters. So I'm going to put the same cut that I did in the other mic, which was still captured on my caliper here. So now I have to get foil out of these sheets. There's like that same foil that I crumpled up. That's in here. And now I need to measure this and cut this. Now when I cut this last sheet, I accidentally had used the wrong side of the razor blade and it kind of didn't really like the clean cut. So I'm gonna put another clean cut there. I know I taped that mic kind of in the middle. Let me see, I could just move my phone over a little bit. All right, there you go. Let me get my light game going on, hold on. Alrighty. And like I said, if you have any Chinese mics, MXLs, 160s, you know, let me know. I can help you out. Chris has a question. Let's see. How do you know how much tension to put in the ribbons? When you do these mics, when you have big mics like 44s that are massive, you can run tones through it and you can tension it. There's a using tone setting through it, you can tell how much tension. Like I think Royer tunes there is a 44.1, and that's the wrong side. And I think the big mics from AEA, they tune them all the way down to like 18, or they go super low because the ribbons are so massive. So there's all kinds of different ways of doing it, basically. Me personally, I get mics and I tune them by sight and sound because I haven't done, when I've done 44s or 77s, I'm tuning them to where they sound badass, and that's usually a feel. And there is a feel to that. If they're too loose, they're not going to sound good. And if they're too tight, they're not going to sound good. So there's a certain amount of flexibility you want to see the ribbon do it. And you have to stretch the ribbon out really well to make sure it works good. So not to not answer your question, for me personally, it's kind of like the dog whisperer. He knows how to handle dogs. I just somehow figured out what ribbon tension feels good to me and the way it looks. And then the biggest thing is I test every mic and I test my voice. And I'm like, how low can you go? How high can you go? Check, check. And you can hear a beautiful sounding ribbon mic sounds beautiful. And it should sound that way. If it sounds like an AM radio or it doesn't articulate your voice, there's something wrong with it. I haven't had too many problems of the tension issue because I've gotten so used to what it should look like, working on a bunch of AEAs and Royers and Coles and, I think I worked on even in my videos, if you go back about a year, I worked on one of the oldest ribbon mics and Reslos and you name it, and I've done it. And because I test it and I have ATC speakers, I've got Neves and APIs, I've got a full studio. There's no getting around the fact it's got to sound fucking good. So I've learned what it should look like and what the tension should be, and that's how I go for now. But I am planning on making a large ribbon mic. And when I get to that point, even though I bought all the gear, I have all the same gear Royer does for running sounds through and getting tones and doing the whole thing. I haven't yet done that yet because when I make 100 of those, I'm going to want them to be consistent. So I'll figure out my own tuning of what I want to do and how low I want them to go and resonate, and then I'll end up tuning all those consistently. And then AEA has a big stand in the middle of the room and have a speaker, and they just run tones through it to go boo, boo, and they can see on the scope how low the mic is going and how high the mic is going and when it distorts and when it doesn't. So all those things I think happen um, when when you can start testing that way. But for small ribbons like this, I mean, this is almost like a Royer, and they have a certain way of tuning them. I think they tune them that way because the tech that tunes them doesn't necessarily have to be a producer or musician. He's got to be a scientist and just look at it and, oh, let's get on the scales, on the scope, and they send it off. I'm the other way around. I'm gonna cut it. I cut a custom ribbon in it. I want to listen to it, and I want to make sure that for me it's tuned to a way that I think it sounds good. And so far, I've got mics, like I said, to the singer of Granddaddy, Stella from Warpaint. I just did ribbons not a while ago, maybe about a year or so ago, for the new drummer for the Foo Fighters, Elon Rubin. I did his. Justin Medell Johnson's in back. He's in St. Vincent. He's producer of Paramore. I did his 160s. Daniel Lanois, I went over to his place. He has a ribbon mic. I'll be getting to him soon. So, oh, cool, man. Dude, thank you so much. Jackson was mentioning that he just sent me some money. Man, I appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much, Jackson. Times are tough for everyone. I appreciate you supporting the channel, man. Thank you so much. Um, and I appreciate that. Not taken for granted, man. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this sheet of ribbon to the exact thing, and also, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I'm gonna measure this out. Let me find my pen. But yeah, I appreciate that, everyone. Jackson hooking me up. So I already made the caliper measurement. So what I did is I measured the gap between the ribbon, and now I'm cutting the gap in this paper. And the paper has actual ribbon inside. The only reason you can't see it is because this paper is a protective, so I can handle it. Because if I don't, this paper just tears really easy, and it's a real bummer when the foil tears. And this microphone is going to a guy that's a sick producer. He's really, really fucking good. He came over and we ended up having mutual friends of friends. His name is Jason, and he fucking played me some sounds that he gets at his. He cuts to all analog tape. And I will say, man, the guy gets killer drum sounds. So I'm excited to get this mic for him. I really, I'm looking forward to him getting back to me on the results. I mean, in all honesty, when I send these to guys that are working engineers and producers, really makes me happy when they use them, because it just means that they didn't have to spend, $3,000 for a pair of mics, or even if you bought two AA mics and it was like on the used market about 900, it's about $1,800 for a pair. If you bought them on brand new, they'd be about $1,300 to $1,500 a pair. So it's still $3,000 to $2,400 to $1,800 for a pair of good ribbons. And here I am doing these mics, which people buy for 100, 150, and I make them sound like $1,400 ribbon mics. That makes me excited. I like that. So let me cut this bad boy. Yeah, man, it was raining really fucking hard last night. And my studio got flooded the first. I'm in like my new studio for like, I think I moved in here last January. And when the first rainstorm came, my studio got flooded. Thank God, not the control room, but the tracking room. I didn't realize that under the door, the concrete had cracked. And so I'm kind of on a hill. So as the water came down the hill, um, it came into my control room. Because I remember I had, I think it was a rug. And I remember thinking like, oh, I thought when I walked in from the rain, I had brought some water. And then I realized there was a small little river going down the middle of my studio floor. And I was like, holy fucking shit. And I had to go. There was this really cool shit. You can find it at all the Home Depots. It's a white ceramic for roof repairs. And I will say, man, it's almost like a putty. And I basically put that in the concrete. And I haven't had any problems, knock on wood. And it was, I don't know if it's called Stanley or whatever the main roofing black tar is. They have one that's white. And that stuff, man, you can put it on in the water and it works. So yeah, I did the outside of my building with that. I'm in an old building, probably here since the 40s or 50s. It's not the greatest, but I know that before I moved in, they had done the roof. And so far, I've came in and I've checked the roof. I haven't had any water damage. The building next door to mine, which that guy has a studio, he did get some water damage, but the landlord had him coming in. I think I saw him about 3 weeks ago fixing his roof. So hopefully you won't have any problems. All right, so let me get my corrugating area together here. Hold on. I don't think you're going to be able to see. By taping this down, it kind of screwed up my little of moving things around. So just try to show you off the cuff. Okay. So this is a corrugator. Let me get this a little bit higher here. So what I'm going to do is, these are two gear. You can buy these for like $8. And I just have it in this vise. These are not cheap. These are like $20 or to 30, maybe 40. I don't know. I don't remember. But I bought two of them. But anyways, I have it in a vise clamp. So that's why it looks like it's more than it is. It's not something super fucking fancy. But these gears are not. I made these gears. And I had a bunch of different these corrugators that are made out of plastic. And I found two gears. I really liked the way they looked and felt. And they reminded me of Royers. And I put these inside and grinded them down and made the holes big enough so they'd fit in here. But these are the stock ones. And I remember for whatever reason, I wanted only these gears in it, but it was too much of a hassle to figure out on shortening this and the screw and to make it fit. I was like, fuck it, shit. So I just kept these in here. I have used them sometimes. I don't really like them. They're too deep. These gears have been filed down a bit and they're thinner and they're actually closer together. It's a finer gear, which I'm using for the microphones. You know, but Los Angeles, it's not that bad when it rains here. People think that we're being, pardon my French, pussies about it. But the problem with Southern California is because we don't get rain. When it rains here, all the streets get fucking flooded because they hadn't cleared out the drains. And it's like, the fall is supposed to clear out the drains. If you're in snow areas or places that rain a lot, they're really a stickler for keeping all their drains. Over here, man, we get whole streets flooded and your cars get stalled. Where I live, there's about 3 points in the road where it's just not worth driving down that street because it always gets flooded. The freeways get flooded. It's dangerous. There's a freeway that we live, it's one of the oldest freeways in the country or the state, called the 110. It's like a zigzag snake, and when it rains, it's fucking nasty. Cars always flip over on it because it was made for Model Ts. So going 60 in the rain on a freeway that was made for 14 miles an hour, not a good idea. Okay, so here's the ribbon in its raw form. It's just a piece of foil I cut out of that paper. And if you notice, I'm not using paper to corrugate it because that's the way Royer does it, and that's the way I do it. Most would shred. This definitely would shred up any aluminum if I put it through it and I didn't custom make these. But that's the Manny way. I figured it out, and it works for me. And I believe that that's part of the corrugation of making these sound really good. So now what I need to do is I need to stretch it out, because that's, if you talk about tuning a ribbon, stretching out the ribbon is as important. And I think that it's a step that is missed, I think, in the Chinese mics. I think they corrugate them, and because they're just factory workers, they just slip them in the mics, and when they stretch out like an accordion, they won't come back to a form because they haven't stretched them out. So I try to stretch them out so it comes back to some form, so when I lay the ribbon in and sound hits it, it won't stretch out and then not return back to its original form. So that's why I stretch these out. So it used to be really scary for me to do this because I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking break it. Now I don't give a fuck. If I fucking break it, I'll make another one. I like the way I got that. Let's see here. So now I'm gonna stretch it. So right now it's kind of like a little bit crumpled, not really straight. As you stretch it, I can feel it opening up. Not too much. Now I got it. So it's kind of like when when you have parts to your car and you have something done to the engine and they're cutting the metal. Anything from steel, metal, aluminum, it shrinks, it contracts. It's a little bit of a bitch. And, and foil's no difference. When I cut that, I have to stretch it out, because if I don't do that, that means it's not been tensioned. And when it goes into the mic, it may look good, but the first time sound hits it, the ribbon's going to buckle. It's going to stretch out, and that's not really what I want. Hold on one second. All right. I think I need a drink here. Once again, thank you, Jackson. Thanks, Chris, for the really cool questions. And even though, I'm not really showing anything here now, but I'm a producer. I do a lot of tutorials and cool videos on sounds and drum sounds. Also, I mentioned this earlier, I do have this ribbon mic for sale. I had 4 of them. This is the last one. If you guys want to hit me up, this is a golden age that I've redone. Super sick mic. It's $475. I cover the shipping and insurance back to you if it's US. So if you live in Phoenix to New York or Florida, I'll send it to you for free shipping if you guys wanted to get it. And that's about, with the insurance, it's about like maybe $50, $40, depending how much I shirt for. So I'm going to shirt for the cost of the mic, and then my upgrade is about $250 a mic. So look at the cost of the mic plus $250. For me, that works out to be $475. If you're asking how I came up with that number, but that mic does sound as good as a $1,200 to $1,400 mic. I'm just saying. I'm not bragging. I'm not talking shit. This is truth. All right, so we're going to put this ribbon inside there, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So I have a Q-tip. Just going to dip it in some alcohol, put a drop there. Make sure you don't get the alcohol on the magnets, which these are the magnets, because the foil will stick to the magnets, and I don't want that. Quiet, I'm tripping balls. Hold on. There's a little weird wrinkle in there. All right. Yeah, Chris, I gotta check out the news. I know that because of the fires that we had here, which were really fucked up. I have, I'm gonna say, at least 12 to 15 friends that lost their houses and their studios with rare vintage gear. Not that it matters, a house is a house, but when you lose your house and your livelihood and gear that you've accumulated your whole life, it's a fucking heartbreak. My friend Mike Simple had my friend Frank. Man, just fucked up. Really sad. And the problem is, though, those people are rebuilding the houses right now. And that's sad because it's like raining, and this is not what you want while you're trying to rebuild your house, is have more rain coming in. This is a little bit intense. I have the phone right in front of my face. Hold on. Fucking shit. I'm more worried about this bracket than the other one right now because once I get this one in and I can tension it, it helps me pull the slack out of that one. And what I'm doing is I'm blocking my finger because the screwdriver will fly into the magnet. If I lose grip of it, it'll cut the ribbon. So I'm not going to go all the way tight because I want to make sure this other one is in. Oh, shit. And once I tighten this one down, I'll just go slowly and then it's almost like doing a snare drum head. If you've ever done when you tension one side, then do the other and you go back and forth because I want it to be even. I want this to not, because it's only plastic and has a small piece of metal that's giving the ribbon contact. I don't want this to or bow. That looks pretty good. Holy moly, I did it. Shannon, San Diego. No, San Diego. Is it San Diego? I always get it wrong, man. I'm sorry. Shannon's the guy. Watch out. Shannon has my, he got a pair of my MXL R144 upgrades, man, and he's been championing me. Thank you so much, brother. Orlando. San Diego, Orlando, it's all the same. It's sunshine, right? But not hurricanes. We don't have hurricanes in San Diego. You're stepping in this, got this really crazy ribbon mic. If you see the end of it, there's two ribbons. Earlier in the video, I'll show you an example of what they look like, Shannon. But Shannon's a subscriber here and he's a member. If you guys want to become members, you can do that. It really does help me out. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, below the description is a thank you. You can buy me a Pellegrino. You can buy me a coffee. Come on now. It actually matters, man. When those come in on YouTube, I don't make a lot of money. But when it comes in, man, and I have to go to the store to buy coffee and water, man, I just go, oh my God, thank you, fucking YouTube, that I can even sit here and do something I love to do and show people. And they appreciate it, man. I fucking love that. It's crazy. Right. Hey, Shannon, send me some audio of that when you use it on the drums. I'd love to hear it. All right, so now the difference is this one is a plastic, this one is brass. But these one had these little washers, which I'm a little confused because that means maybe these mics, they made the holes too big. They put the washers so the ribbon, so the screws don't move around. I don't know. I'm a little bit baffled by that, but we're going to get it done, hopefully. Oh, Shannon, dude. Shannon just got me a cup of coffee. Thank you, Shannon. You are a badass, sir. And he got my ribbons. So if you want to talk to someone, you write Shannon about how I made these $99 MXL mics sound like $1,200, $1,400 AEA mics. They came out so fucking good. I love them. Washers back. I don't know. I should have glued them on, but I didn't. Gotta deal with it. Gotta handle. Nerve-wracking. They feel like they're aluminum. If they were metal, I think they would stick to the magnet, and I don't want them to do that. This off. I don't like this approach of doing that. Thanks, Shannon. Shannon and Jackson sent me a little bit of loot. Thank you both. You are helping a true artist. I've been living as an artist since the late 90s. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it for anyone. People think that I went to school with like, oh, how cool, Manny. You went all over China for 2 years. Yeah, and I almost fucking died a bunch of times too. Man, it's so cool. You wake up every day and do music. Yeah, but when you're trying to figure out how you're going to afford a cup of coffee, that's not good either. So I don't know what the handoff is. My father, his heart was broken. And maybe that's the reason why I never went down the road of corporations, because my father loved General Telephones. He gave his life to it. I couldn't have been raised in our house. Everything was from my father giving that up so he could support his family. When he was 55, out of the blue, they fucking forced him into retirement. He could not believe that his company that he loved would not take him back, and they forced him out. Now, my father's defense of being a badass, he became a bus driver for Metro, which was cool, until he took out a 911 Porsche, and then he retired. My dad was a very unique man. My dad smoked cigarettes. He didn't drink. But my dad died young because of congestive heart failure. When he was 40, now I'm almost 60, so there's a difference. I never smoked. When my dad was 40, he had a massive heart failure, and they had to do a quadruple bypass on him. At 40, the doctor told him, if you don't smoke again, you're going to live a long life. You have an 18-year-old heart in you. And my father, and he's don't drink Cokes. I'm doing bad here by drinking my cherry fucking. That's my only vice. So yeah, my dad congestive heart failure when he passed. He smoked packs and packs of cigarette a day, even against the doctor's wishes. And he did. And that's what my dad wanted to do. And when he was dying, he was telling me to get him a fucking pack of cigarettes. Give me a fucking pack of cigarettes. And he had a mask on. I was like, Dad. And you know what's sad? At that time, I was like, Dad, you can't. You've got these oxygen masks on, and you'll blow up the whole hospital. My dad didn't give a fuck. At that point, his brain was going, and he just didn't do it. But I kind of wish they would just take the oxygen mask off. He's gonna die. He died the next day. Just let him fucking smoke a cigarette. They want to drink a Coke? Let him fucking drink the Coke. They want to eat a fucking In-N-Out hamburger and they're fucking dying? Let them fucking eat. That's the only thing that's regrettable, is that in our society that isn't, that would only happen like in a western or something, where the guy's dying. He's like, "Give me a fucking shot of whiskey," and he knows that it's gonna kill him. They get him a bottle. Drink the whole fucking bottle, man. At that point, you're dying. My dad died the next day, and I wish I could have just let him smoke a pack of cigarettes. Even though that was detrimental to his health. That's what my dad wanted. And it's sad that you know things happen to family members, and you can't do anything about it. And that's just what happens. Some heavy shit there. You're just watching me do a ribbon, talking about my fucking dad dying. What's fucking going on with me? Holy moly. Okay. I need to get the tape on. So we went through the tape on this one, which was a little bit of a bitch because I didn't cut it thin enough. So we're going to cut this thin. Yeah, man, that's not a story either to make people feel sad. Like, don't feel, this is not like sad Manny. I mean, the moral of the story is don't fucking smoke cigarettes, and if you're gonna die, just accept it. If you're gonna drink, that singer from Smash Mouth, millionaire, fucking died of liver damage from drinking too much. Everybody's got problems, and money doesn't fix it. So, I'm sitting here working for coffee money, but like, am I happy? Yeah, I'm happy. I guess that's all that matters. Not rich, but my friends that are rich that have liver damage and died, what can you fucking do? You know? I mean, like I said, I wish I could have just tell the doctors, put my dad in a wheelchair, give him an oxygen mask, take him down there, take off the oxygen mask, give him a pack of cigarettes. He'll sign the waiver. I'll sign the waiver. If he dies because you removed his oxygen and he wanted to smoke a cigarette, then I'll fucking accept that, Like, Jesus Christ, grant them their last wish. They put themselves there in that situation. You can't do anything about it. My grandfather, one of the reasons I don't drink is that alcoholism runs in our family. And I promised myself I'd never keep alcohol in my house as an adult. I'm almost 60. And when my dad died, I was drinking about a bottle of tequila a week. But when my dad died, I had to work at a bar called the Cha-Cha as a door guy. Because before my dad died, my mom asked me, "Can you close the studio? I'm going to lose my job if I stay home any more days. You got to take care of your dad." So I go to work. Of course, I'm going to close the studio. So I closed the studio down. This is close to December. And my dad died in late December. So I closed my studio down, and then a few weeks later, my dad died. And at that point, living in LA and getting rid of your commercial building, that my rent was like $500 a month. It was insane. And I was hit hard. And then not knowing it, because you can't tell, because I only drink tequila and Coronas my whole life, I can drink bottles of tequila and I don't look drunk. I don't look fucked up. But I started throwing up blood. And that's when alcoholism starts to be that little devil on your shoulder saying, "Blood, schmud, just take it with a shot, drink it with some water." So then I was taking tequila with water, still spitting up blood. Oh, well then, if you're spitting up, do it with a squirt. Ask them for a 7-Up chaser. So I do a 7-Up chaser with my tequila, still throwing up blood. And then finally there was a point of like, what the fuck am I doing? You're fucking becoming an alcoholic. And this is when I was, my early 40s. It was a while ago. It was like in the early 2000s, 2007, 8. I was still drinking. Because I remember I went to all Tomorrow's parties. My band played with Gang of Four, X, Battles, the Bronx, Shellac, Mount Banana, Gang of Four. I think he said Gang of Four. Anyways, we went and played this festival out there, and me and my bass player Mondo, we had drank a whole bottle of tequila, and oh my god, that may have been close to the last time I've gotten wasted. But yeah, man, I just made a decision. I want to wake up and feel good. I don't want to wake up with a hangover. Alcoholism runs in my family, and I saw my father die, and I didn't want to have any death. That was like where I'm just like, someone give me a shot of tequila before I die. Fuck that shit. Shit. I mean, I would walk into the bar. They knew all the people that worked there. And I would just, right before I sat at the bar, there'd be 2 shots of tequila and a tecate to chase it down. It was just normal. That's just the way I rolled. You know what I'm saying? And in the long run, it wasn't. But the reason I brought up that story, what I was trying to get to was my grandfather was a derelict. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. The guy was one of the best cooks I've ever known in my life. He worked as a chef, can build houses, anything my grandfather could build. Super talented, but he drank. And when I was younger, we would, my mom was really embarrassed of my grandfather coming over drunk. And then especially when I let him in the house, she got fucking pissed. I didn't really understand why she would be mad. Like, why can't we let Grandpa in the house? Because I'd come home from school and he was passed out in the front yard. He's like, Mio, let me inside. I just want to sleep a little bit. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, Grandpa, you're coming inside. And he would crash on the couch. My mom would come home and she'd be livid at me. I'm like, why are you mad? She goes, he pissed his fucking pants and you're letting him sit on the couch. I was just like, oh shit, he did. So, you learn from those things, Grandpa's pissing his pants. Don't let him sleep on the couch. But when my mom wasn't there, I'd get like a towel or not a towel. I'd use a towel or I'd get a sheet and I'd put it down on the ground and let Grandpa crash out on the couch. And then I'd wake him up before my mom got home and says, Grandpa, you got to go out to the front. But my grandfather was drinking, came out of the war. If you touch my grandfather's ribs, you can feel wire where he'd gotten shot in the war and they'd wired his ribs together. So he was fucked up, but he was a fucking road dog. And then one time in downtown LA, we'd gone to him. He lived in Skid Row. When people talk about Skid Row, I will just say this. Every city has a Skid Row. So how is it that every fucking city in the United States has a Skid Row and has a red light district? People got to go somewhere to fuck, and people got to go somewhere to die. And Skid Row is the drain of humans, that the last stage of their life of living on the street, having drug addictions and drinking, you go into Skid Row, there's shelters there, they don't want to take the shelters, and you wonder why, and it's the last place they die. And so my grandfather was there, and this is in the 70s. And, if you drive through Skid Row right now, looks exactly the way it did then. How is that not able to change? Because every fucking city needs a drain for human lives, and that's where they go. And the good people that try to help it, and there's people that try to exploit it, whatever the scenario is, that's where humans go to die. And my grandfather's one of them. So my grandfather used to come around once a month because he would want to get his Social Security check that came in. And we knew, and we'd always wonder that day we would get a call from the cops or someone that my grandfather didn't make it, and we would get a call from the police that he died, killed. Like I said, my grandfather was knifed and left for dead 7 times in his body. His nose, if this is a straight nose, my grandfather's nose went like that because it had been broken so many times of hitting the ground, passed out, drunk. And then when he got stabbed and he almost got killed, my grandfather told my mom that he was going to move to Tucson, and he wanted to live somewhere that he can go up into the mountains and hunt for gold. And my mom's just like, he's gonna fucking die. You know, he's already, like, my grandfather had more than 9 lives. Being shot in the war, um, left for dead many times. And my grandfather persevered through all that. So then when my mom realized he wanted to live in Arizona where we couldn't really monitor him or see what he's doing, we knew he was going to die. So my mom let him go, and I was just pissed. I was like, why are you letting Grandpa go? You know, she goes, he's a grown man. You know, we can't stop him from drinking in downtown. Let him go live in the desert. So my grandfather did. He went and lived out there in, like, near Tucson, and honestly, for years, we never heard, he didn't get in trouble. I mean, we don't know what he was doing, really. We don't know if he was really drinking a lot or whatever the case. But, I mean, you know, his checks were being sent there. He would call every now and then. And we were just waiting to get that call that he died. And then we did. Eventually, the police did call us. And my mom was talking, and she didn't cry or anything. She just like, how did he die? And then she was just looking down, and then she says, thank you. And she hung up the phone. And I'm thinking, like, oh my fucking God, he was ran over. Someone stabbed him, killed him. He broke his neck, fell downstairs. He went out in the desert in 118 degrees and was fucking cooked alive. And I'm just like, how did Grandpa die? And she's like, he choked on a chicken bone. Just like, of all the fucking things in the world, God or the devil or whoever was trying to kill my fucking grandfather could not kill him. And he choked on a fucking chicken bone. So, the moral of the story is when your card's pulled, your card's fucking pulled. Doesn't matter. You know, you can't stop it. But if you're living through fucking crazy shit, when your card's pulled, it's just pulled. And yeah, my grandfather died on a chicken bone, not of being a drunk, not having any problems like that with his life. It was insane. It blew my mind. Well, I don't know what the moral of that story is, except, like I said, when your car's going to get pulled, it's going to get pulled, and you can't do anything about it. And hopefully, or luckily, my grandfather got to live a good life. I don't know what his last years were in the desert. I really wish I had enough foresight to have maybe even driven out to see him. But at the time, I was younger, and my son was just born, and you know, you can't really think about those things until later and reflect on them, and you're like, why didn't I fucking go see my grams? But anyways, life is short. Life is fucking short. But also, some people, when you have your friends that have lived through all that shit, nothing ever happens to them, it's just not meant to be, man. It's not meant to be for them dying and living and not living a full life. Like the guy that was in The Sopranos, you know, that guy just died of a massive heart attack. Steve Albini, you know, I know Steve. I don't actually know the cause of his death, but it had something to do with his heart. And it happened really fast. There was no suffering except for everyone around him that was shocked, including his wife. Heavy conversation, man. We're just cutting a fucking ribbon here. What are we talking about now? Jesus. So, yeah, man. And I do, you know, I'll tell you a little something. Whoever's watching this, all 4 of you. When Steve died, he was with his wife, and he had stood up, and he told his wife, I think I'm going to drive myself to emergency. Well, she stood up and said, no, I'm going to drive you to emergency. He took one step, he fell over, and he was dead. That's it. That's how he died. And she said that when he fell, he looked in an uncomfortable position. And she says Steve was never one to not complain about being uncomfortable. And when he didn't complain about the position that he'd fallen as he took his last breath, she said she saw his chest move and then go down, and then he was gone. So it's fucking brutal. You know, there wasn't any warning or, except, of course, he wasn't feeling good. But to the point of him telling her, I'm not feeling good, and which she was explaining it to me, it sounds like he wasn't just suffering. He just, as soon as he felt uncomfortable, he's like, hey, I think I better go to emergency. I don't feel good. And then he died like a few seconds later. So, could it have been prevented? I don't think so. Could there have been anything that anyone could have done? I don't know. But he died fast, and hopefully for him it wasn't painful. But it was tragic. I mean, I took it hard for a long time, and I was one of his friends that are kind of like, I always would explain, like, I'm on the rings of Saturn, and Saturn is where all of Chicago and all his peeps were and his bandmates. But I loved Steve. I loved him. He was inspiring. That's why I'm even here working on mics. And my first time I recorded with Steve, he used Bio 160s. Of course, that was the first mic that I wanted to learn how to re-ribbon. So, Steve's death, even now that it's been well over a year, it still kind of fucks me up. Because at the time, the last time I talked to Steve was, I had done two of the, you see me do the MXL ribbon mics here. I made one for him and one for Kim Deal. I know he was working on the record out there. My bass player, Mondo, plays in Kim Deal's band. I also recorded the Breeders record, Mountain Battles, with Steve and her. And I worked with Kim for about 2 years on that record and flew to Abbey Road and mastered it at Abbey Road. So I've had a great experience working with her and Steve. And Steve did my second record. And then I ended up going to Electrical Audio and recording maybe like, I don't know, 4 records over there. So when I was doing these ribbon mods, and I know Steve's an enthusiast, I told him I was going to give him 2. So Mondo, my bass player, took 2 mics, one for him and one for Kim Deal. And I called him on the phone about a month or month and a half before he died. And I said, hey, Steve, I was just checking in with you, man. I gave those ribbon mics to Mondo. I wanted to make sure that, everything was cool with them. And did you enjoy them? And he said, in Steve's voice, yeah, man, they sounded great. And I was like, wow, really? He goes, yeah, we used them on Kim's record. And I was like, oh my fucking God, made my fucking day. And this is while I was designing my own ribbon mic. So I was looking forward to sending him my mic. And then, of course, 2 months later, he died. So I was happy I got to speak with him. I really wish I could have enjoyed a lunch or dinner with him. And yeah, that was it. And then maybe about a few months later, I saw a posting from Greg at Electrical Audio, Steve Albini's studio that he shared and worked with Greg. And Greg actually had a picture of my microphone, the ones you see me modifying here, on a drum set at Electrical Audio. And Greg wrote me and told me that sounded awesome. So I was just happy. So in a nutshell, that was a fucking crazy, crazy cool story, And I was just happy that he did it. So now we're winding this down. I know I've been blabbing about a story, sentimental, heavy, about my father, about my grandfather, about Steve Albini. But now we're wrapping it up. I'm on a ribbon mic. Holy fucking shit. And now I've got to get this together. I know there's an issue with this last time being the problem with this mic right now is that this little cliff here to that scraping part right there, you can see goes into that channel. So I have to make sure that I can put the mic back. And I can't have any tape on this or it's going to snag and rip. I probably could have glued it as well. But I was going to go to Harbor Freight today and buy some rubber cement. And I would have used rubber cement. That would have been cool too. But I didn't. But this is, the original mic had this. It's not like it's some kind of foreign entity. There it is. So now that is complete. Voila. So putting this kind of all back together is a little bit weird. So that is the bottom. And then this is the top. They're sticking together. I have to make sure that these things here are going to go back snag free. Let's see if I can grab something. Hold on. I gotta get some needle nose here. Hold on. So I have to pull the mic into this area and not have it be snagging on anything, but I gotta pull it through with the it's right in here. Hold on. This metal is not too thick either because I actually can almost pull it apart. So I have to pull the XLR through. As I'm pushing this through too. I gotta push these crumpled up in there either. I gotta pull, there it goes. There. And those are the where I put the screws in. So that has to be the front on that side. You fucking block you crazy motherfucker. Ah shit, hold on. I gotta push that back out, hold on. Fucking screens. Sorry. Gotta get my light game going on here. Gotta see inside this thingamajig. Holy moly. Yeah, this is tough to take apart and tough to put it back together. I need to get this part right. Worst part about this, after I test the mic, if it doesn't sound right, guess what I'm doing, son of a bitch. Let's see here. Screws. There's 3, I think. 3, yeah. No, there is a difference. Even though this looks like a Royer, I've worked on Royers. They're pretty fucking stealthy. Everything about them is like world class. Oh, I got a little fucking flaky hair here right there. You know, there is a difference in some of the quality of things being made. And, you know, even the metal that they use for this, I don't know if it's cast iron or whatever it is, the quality of the Royer metal, I think it's like made out of some space age material that, like, if you put a meter on it or a scope, it doesn't resonate any frequencies or stuff like that. I mean, everything about them is like space age. So when you pay a lot for a Royer, it's not just the ribbon, it's all these other things that, you know, they thought were important to install in a mic, and not only a vibe, but like parts, and everything is numbered at Royers too. And they do them in batches. So if you get a Royer that's bad and you send it back to Royer, and they end up seeing a few other batches that come in from that same batch of mics, I think they make them in 50s. You know, they have a possibility to stop production, find out what's wrong in these 50, and they know that they didn't, or at least they can document it. And if they have any, I don't know of any problems that they've had, but that's their system of eliminating any issues. It could be the transformer, it could be something in the metal, maybe the parts don't fit together, whatever the case is. Whatever the case is, I need to get this in that part right there. Hold on. So this is the front. This is the front. So this has to be like that. And this goes together, which is really weird. Special way this is supposed to go. I gotta make sure I got it right. Yeah. This goes in there. Front. Still the front. Where are those fucking slats? Wait, fucking shit. Am I tripping right now? Or am I tripping? There. Now that makes sense. So these slats have to go in those slats. See what you're doing to me. This is definitely, well, when you talk about the metal not being exactly right, this is exactly what it is. I have to spread it to get this in there. But it's only going to do one side. And I got to do the other side. Holy moly. There it goes. All right. Then, so this is the front. And then the front needs to be... All right. With this guy. One. Those parts that slid in would be like perfect. But this is just made as a, you know, I'm not complaining because technically this is what's permitting people to not pay $1,400 for a Royer, and they could buy this mic for a few $100, stereo, have me re-ribbon it, and now they're fucking stoked because the ribbon I did put inside is as good as a Royer. And now they're kicking ass, making records. You know, tomato, tomato. Is that a Royer? Looks like a Royer. Sounds like a Royer. It's not a Royer. Suck it. That's what I mean. Most mics, this would not be like that. It would be kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's done almost figure eight. goes. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I think we're winding down here. I will say, once again, if you guys can subscribe. I know this is live and I do have videos coming up, but I've been enjoying these live videos. If you want to support me, you could just subscribe and say, hey, tune in. And if you dig ribbon mics in this whole world and producing, if you can become a member, I have 8 members right now. That'd be great. And I'm going to show some content to my friends soon when I get my microphone permitted that I can share it, maybe within the next month. And I'll be doing some other stuff for members only. I know it sounds weird. It's not like I'm nobody in the sense of if you want to learn something and there's some really cool shit, I can do that. But like, there's no famous value to anything if you join in or become. I'll just know I'll have really cool shit I'll share with you. And I'm always honest. I'm almost honest where it's fucked up and it's not right. You know? It's like this honesty, like, my mom had that honesty and I'm like, Mom, you can't be telling people that. And here I am fucking getting older and I'm just like my fucking mom and my dad and my grandpa and my nana. I made about 300 records under my grandmother's name that no one knows. Her name was Frances Miranda. And she had a lot to do with influencing me on making music and doing what I do. And it wasn't until actually back to Steve Albini when I did Kim Deal's record. After the record was mastered and I went to Abbey Road, Steve says, hey, you know what? Because my records were under Frances Miranda. That was my nana. He goes, you know what? After you do this record with Kim, and he worked on it with me, Steve Albini, he goes, you should really use your own name. People want to find you. And right after that, I didn't even think twice about it. I started using my real name. On the Breeders record, Mountain Battles was my first record that I used my real name on. And for maybe 300 records before that, I just used Frances Miranda because I didn't care. It wasn't I was being punk or cool or weird. I had a theory that I wanted to make records so if you were in France and you picked up this record and it was super sick, you'd be like, who the fuck is Frances Miranda? And I just was super pumped to do that. You know, I thought that would be so rad. You know, hold on a second. And ironically, there was a band called Savages, which is a super sick band. And I was contacting them to work with them. They're in France. And I wrote their label. And I sent the label. I didn't know. I just said, hey, I didn't know that the label owner was a producer and he had produced them. So I just said, hey, you know, I'd love to work with this band Savages. And I sent him a bunch of recordings. And almost all the recordings were under Frances Miranda. And the label wrote me back and they're like, Frances Miranda? ? I go, oh, yeah, no, sorry, that's my grandmother. I had made a bunch of records, and it was just so funny because that's exactly what had happened. I had thought if I made this name, what it would be like for someone to pick up a record in France and wonder who Frances Miranda was. And I actually spoke to a guy who was a manager and owner and producer of a sick band called The Savages, and it was him, and it came true. And we're going to leave on that note, on a positive note. Thank you so much. I've got a little bit more. I got to put the top on. I've got to test this. I will say that if you're interested in some mics, let me know. I do ribbons, all the Chinese mics, I do them. I mentioned I have this mic for sale right now. I had 4 of these. This is the last one. These are like Lollipop ribbon mics, my favorite. They sound beautiful on anything. If you live in the United States, this is $475. I'll include the shipping. I'll insure it for the mic and I'll insure it fully for the mic at $475. and free shipping if you buy this. So let me know. All my information's in the descriptions. If you want to support my band, I put a link in there for my Bandcamp. You can buy some of the music I've done and the label I work with. But anyways, man, I'm gonna leave it on that. Holy moly, how long has this been? It looks like just over 2 hours. All right, everyone, take care of yourself. I'll see you guys soon. I have a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'll talk to you then. Thank you all.